إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا ما يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making us see today. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to spare our life on good deed. Inshallah, we continue with our fiqh. And the chapter we are on is the chapter on Salatu Tatawwu'i. That is supererogatory prayer. And the hadith we are taking it, or we stopped on, that we'll be starting the lecture on today, is the hadith of Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu. Wherein he mentioned that وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه قال حفظت من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 ركعات ركعتين قبل الظهر وركعتين بعدها وركعتين بعد المغرب في بيتي وركعتين بعد العشاء في بيتي وركعتين قبل الصبح متفق عليه. وفي رواية لهما وركعتين بعد الجمعة في بيته. ولمسلم كان إذا طلع الفجر لا يصلي إلا ركعتين خفيفتين. وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان لا يدع 4 قبل الظهر وركعتين قبل الغداة. وعنها قالت لم يكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم على شيء من النوافل أشد تعاهدا منه على ركعتي الفجر. ولمسلم وركعت الفجر خير من الدنيا وما فيها. Now, it seems all those ones we read, it seems we had mentioned 1 or 2 things about them, if I could remember. Who among us was around when we took these ones? The last time we discussed fiqh, where did we stop? Since we don't remember, maybe we start from the starting of the book again. Huh? No, the starting of the book. Since you don't even remember where we... Well, it's always like this for us. I wonder why. No, we just started it. So Yurusa was the last one. It seems we don't always follow this thing we are doing. And I don't know why it is like this. Even if we don't have the book, at least we're supposed to be monitoring where we stop on the hadith, so that we'll be able to take it from there together. So if we don't remember where we stop, I wonder whether we will still remember what we discussed. Well, on this chapter, we are talking on where we stopped, not where we stopped last year or 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Anyway, let's just take a brief summary. Like the last time we mentioned that Tatawwu is a voluntary act. And we made us understand that it is not restricted to Salah. And as long as it is not restricted to Salah, we will get to understand that we have it in the Nawafil for Salah, and we have it in the act of Sadaqah, that is the Sadaqah we give apart from the Zakah. And we also have it in all acts of Ibadah, like the Hajj now. We perform the compulsory Hajj, the obligatory one. The subsequent ones are not fardu again. They are what? They are among the tatawwat. Likewise, the umrah, they are among the tatawwat, and any other voluntary acts. So we said those acts we carry out wherein it is not an obligation upon us to carry them out. We call them the tatawwat or nawafil. Then after having mentioned that, we also mentioned in terms of tatawwat, the one that is best of acts of ibadah, voluntary acts of ibadah. So, and the best of them is seeking knowledge, like we mentioned. I also mentioned the best of knowledge that it is best for us to seek, taking it from that of Aqidah, that is the knowledge of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. And apart from that, also mentioned that the one that follows that is to strive to carry out the jihad, striving on the path of Allah. So when we talk about the knowledge of Aqidah that we mentioned, we said the best of all acts of voluntary acts, that is among the tatawwu'at, we take jihad first. That is the non-obligatory jihad. Like we have obligatory acts of ibadah, likewise for jihad too. We have the obligatory one and the non-obligatory one. So among the non-obligatory acts of ibadah, the acts that we take taqarruban lillah, we said that we use to seek nearness to Allah. We said the best among them is the jihad. Then, apart from the jihad, now mention that of knowledge. Then, in knowledge, he said the best of them is what? The knowledge of Tawheed. Then, the knowledge of the understanding of the Quran, the knowledge of the Hadith, and like that. So, when we now narrow it down to the topic of today, or the chapter, we say Salatul Tatawwu'i. That means that the Tatawwu' that is restricted to Salah, meaning that all other ones are not going to be discussed under the chapter. Then, for the Tatawwu' tied to the Salah, we said they are of different kind. We have those ones that are mutlaq, and we have those ones that are muqayyadat. That means that there are some that are restricted, Salatul Tatawwu', and some are not what? Are not restricted. So, among those ones that are not restricted, or when we say they are not restricted, meaning that they are not tied to either one fardu or one waqt or sabab. That means that they are not tied to a particular salah, or that is obligatory salah. They are also not tied to a particular time, and they are also not tied to a particular reason. So there are some salat, that is the non-obligatory salah, that are tied to some reasons, while some are tied to some obligatory salah, and some are tied to some time. At times like this, you perform wudu, and you enter the mosque, carry out tatawwu, that is nafila. So the nafila that you observe there is tied to a particular reason, and that reason is for entering the mosque. The other one, you perform it. Maybe you perform wudu, and you do what? You carry out the tatawwu. That one we say it is what? Tatawwu al-mutlaq. That is, it is general. It is not tied to anything. But the general here, it means that it is what? It is tied to the mosque. Meaning you perform it because you enter the mosque. Sorry, what did I? It is muqayyad. It is tied to the mosque. I hope we understand. Likewise, we have some that are tied to a particular reason or the other. And one of the reasons could be that you perform the tatawwu either as a result of one thing or the other. Maybe it's for dua now. The type of the dua you want to, during the time of dua, you perform wudu and you carry out salah. So that salah is tied to that time. And that time is the reason why you observe the salah. Or you perform witru at the latter part of the night. So that one is an excuse, or is the one that tied, that is restricted the salah, the voluntary salah, to that point in time. So that is for al-mutlaq. Then we have al-muqayyad. Then we also have some that are tied to the obligatory salah. And that one, we said that after some salah, you perform the salah, you carry out the tatawwu, or before the salah, you carry out the tatawwu. That is what is mutlaq. Then is muqayyad. Then the other one that is now mutlaq is the type of voluntary act that is not restricted to any time, nor any place, nor a particular salat. You just decide that, okay, I want to observe nafila. And this nafila is not tied to the salah that, oh, I just finished observing my salatul dhuhr, let me observe the nafila. No. Likewise, it is not tied to a particular reason that, oh, I just finished performing wudu, let me observe nafila for wudu. That is nafila to wudu. Or is not tied to a particular time when you say, after performing wudu, you want to enter the mosque now. Or after performing wudu, you say it's time for dua, that you want to observe the nafila. So this one is general. As long as it is not performed during the period that salat are prohibited. I hope we understand. So the first one we said tatawwu al-mutlaq, and the second one is tatawwu al-muqayyad. So the general tatawwu al-muqayyad, we said that one is restricted to a particular what? Time, reason, or salah. The white that of mutlaq is not restricted. One can just decide that I want to observe nafila as long as you don't take it as a habitual thing. For instance now, between Maghrib and Isha, you can decide to observe as many as you want of nafila. But you don't take it as what? As habit. That, okay, for every Maghrib, I will now be observing six nafila. When they ask you, what type of nafila is this? The answer is what? Is Salatul Tashriq. So like the Tabligh used to mention that. They say it's Salatul Tashriq. They call it like that. But there is no particular Salat of that nature. Or you decide that in the afternoon, it is between Dhuhr and Asri, you are not thinking of anything. You are observing your Salat restricted to the period of the Salatul Dhuhr. Between that Dhuhr and Asri, you are just idle. You just decide to observe nafila, some nawafil, no problem in that. And as long as you don't take it what? As habitual thing. I hope you understand. So that is the difference between mutlaq and muqayyad. So we now start taking the hadith one by one. So all the hadith, the one we just read now, they are restricted to the period of salat. So we call this one tatawwu al-muqayyad. I hope we understand. So those ones that are muqayyad, you don't exceed the limit. Why those ones that are mutlaq, that is, they are general, they are not restricted at all. You can observe as many as you want. I hope we understand. So, but those ones that are tied to some salah, you cannot exceed the limit that had been set by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I said, we have the hadith of Ibn Umar, he said that he observed from the Messenger of Allah Ashara Raka'at, 10 rakah, and he started mentioning them. Raka'atayn qabla dhuhr, 2 rakah before dhuhr, and 2 rakah after it. Then raka'atayn ba'da al-maghrib fi baytihi, 2 rakah after maghrib in his house. Raka'atayn ba'da al-isha fi bayti, and 2 rakah after isha in his house. Raka'atayn qabla subh, and 2 rakah before subhi. Muttafaqun alayh. So this one is what you see, those period they are mentioned in line with the Salah. And Ibn Umar said he observed the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing this. Then in another report he said wa rak'atayn ba'da al-jum'ah fi baytihi, and 2 rakah after Jum'ah in his house. Then another report in Muslim, he said kana idha tala al-fajr, that whenever it is Fajr period, la yusalli illa rak'atayn khafifatayn, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not observe any salah except 2 light rak'ah of salah. So then wa an Aisha, a similar report from Aisha radhiyallahu anha, she said anna nabiyya sallallahu alaihi wasallam kana la yada'u arba'a qabla adh-dhuhr, that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not leave 4 nafila before dhuhr, wa rak'atayn qabla al-ghadat, and 2 nafila before subhi. Rawahu al-Bukhari. Wa anha, then another report from her qalat, she said lam yakul an-nabiy sallallahu alaihi wasallam ala shay'in min an-nawafil, that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not or is not on something in terms of nafila ashadda ta'ahuda minhu ala rak'atayn al-fajr, that he does not hold on to something as much of nafila as much as he hold on to the nafila, the 2 nafila of al-fajr. Then he now mentioned the reward that wali muslimin rak'at al-fajr khayrun min ad-dunya wa ma fiha, that the 2 nafila of al-fajr, the 2 nafila rak'at al-fajr observed before al-fajr, he said, or during al-fajr, is better than this word and what it contains. Then we now have the report of Habiba, al-Mu'mineen radiyallahu anha, qalat سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I heard the Messenger of Allah saying, من صلى 12 ركعة في يوم وليلة, whoever observed 12 nafila in the day and night, بني له بهن بيت في الجنة, a house will be built for him in al-Jannah. رواه مسلم وفي رواية تطوع. Then he said in another report, he said whoever observed 12 rakah of nafila, so of tatawwu, that is of nafila. Then wali-Tirmidhi nahwa wazada. Then now say we have similar report from Tirmidhi, and he added that arba'an qabla dhuhr, 4 rakah before dhuhr, wa rak'atayn ba'daha, and 2 rakah afterwards, wa rak'atayn ba'da al-maghrib, 2 after maghrib, wa rak'atayn ba'da al-isha, 2 after isha, wa rak'atayn qabla salatul fajr, and 2 before salatul subhi. Then walil khamsa anha, then another ziyada about from Habiba radiyallahu anha as well. She said man hafadha ala arba'in qabla dhuhr wa arba'in ba'daha haramahu Allahu ala an-nar, that whoever observe 4 rakah before dhuhr and after it, we be prohibited from hell. So when we look at all the hadith together, we see that they are talking about what? They are talking about what? Tatawwu'u al-muqayyad. Those are the ones that are restricted to a particular salat. So this tatawwu, we call them sunanu ar-ratiba. They are the emphatic sunnah. Unlike other voluntary acts, these ones are what? They are emphatic. emphatic in the sense that we see different reports from the Rasulullah about them. We saw that of Habiba, that of Aisha radiallahu anha, and that of Ibn Umar. Ibn Umar specifically mentioned that I observed from the Rasul 10 rak'ah. Then we saw the report of Aisha radiallahu anha when she also mentioned the rak'ah he always observed before Dhuhr, and that the ones he observed before Subhi. Then we now have the report of Habiba when she said that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically said, whoever observed 12 nafila, that person will be what? We bunya lahu baytan fil jannah. That is fil layl wal nahar, in the night and in the day, meaning the salat of the night and the salat of the day. That a house will be built for such an individual in Al Jannah. So we now take them one by one. So when we look at all the reports together, we'll be reading about 16 tatawu'u, or 16 nawafil. Those are the ones 4 for Dhuhr, and before it and after it. 2 after Maghrib, 2 after Isha, making how many? 4 before Dhuhr, 4 before Dhuhr, 4 after it. Then 2 before Subuhi. Then 2 after Jum'ah. So I am reading the one we just read from the Hadith. Everything all together we have 16 here. So one will be wondering that why is it like that? That 16. Ibn Umar mentioned 10. Habiba mentioned 12, and we are also talking about 16 now. Now why is it like that? We said no. Even if they mention different reports, we see that according to the ulama, is there anytime it comes like that, one will take it that yes, the Rasulullah sallallahu of Ibad al-Ahyan, that at times he observed this, at times he observed that. So it is not for an individual to now say, no, if you don't observe that particular number, then you are not following the sunnah. In fact, Ibn al-Qayyim even mentioned that the Rasulullah, it depends on a need that or a shuglu that comes to him. That if at all he is busy, he observes something less. But for the day and the night, we have the report that we have one report, that of Ibn Umar, that he observed from the Rasulullah 10 rak'ah, meaning that it is desirable for each and every one of us to always observe the 10 rak'ah as well. And in his own report, he mentioned 2 before Dhuhr and 2 after it, then 2 after Maghrib, after Isha, and 2 before Subhi. But if you want to do it, we follow that of Habiba by adding another 2 to that of Dhuhr. If you want additional reward. And what is the additional reward? She said that whoever observed this, bunya lahu baytan fil jannah, a house will be built for him in Al Jannah. And I believe each and every one of us, we want a house to be built for him in Al Jannah. Then the question is it daily or once in a lifetime that a house will be built for one in Al Jannah? It is a regular thing that if you want plenty houses to be built for you, continue to observe it like that. Because apart from this particular report, there are many other hadith where the Rasulullah will say, whoever observe a particular act, whoever carry out a particular deed, bunya lahu baytan fil jannah. He mentioned that of masjid, that man bana lillahi masjidan, bana lahu baytan fil jannah. That whoever build a mosque, a house will be built for him in Al Jannah. Some will say, oh, this one is just for the rich men, that I can never attain that height. Some will even say, right now we are still praying that Allah build a house for us in Al Jannah. But even if you don't have the money to build a mosque, you have what? you have the strength to carry out 12 nafila. Some of us, we are so lazy that you observe to observe 2 rakah after dhuhr will be a difficult task. Why some, we find it difficult to go early to the mosque and observe 4 rakah of dhuhr before dhuhr. Because this salah, one, it has one benefit, that it prepares us for the original salah. But one, and apart from this, we also said that it is a kind of tajbir. It had to our defect in terms of our deed on the day of Qiyamah. Likewise, our good deed, if there is any naqsu in it, this one will be an addition to it on the day of Qiyamah. Then apart from that, carrying them out will earn us a house in Al-Jannah. Then apart from this, the Rasul mentioned that Ana za'imun limari'in, that I am having it in mind that a promise for an individual, man taraka al-miraha walau kana muhiq, that he left a kind of debate or a riyah, even despite the fact that he has the right to do what? To talk. You know, some people will carry out deed so that people will say, oh, yes, in fact, he's the only person that can do it. Like this one, he said that I promise a house in Al-Jannah for the one that deliberately abandons a riyah, that deliberately abandons a kind of debate that leads to what? A riyah. Even if he is what? He has the right to do that. And many other places like that they also promise Al-Jannah. But this one is among the simplest, just to be observant of 12 nafila. And this 12 nafila, is it daily or once in a lifetime? He said it is what? According to that promise of the Rasul, that for that day alone, you have a house built for you. So if you do it another time, a house built for you. Now do it for your lifetime. That's okay. I am 10 years old now. So from now onward, I'll be having a house built for me in Al-Jannah daily. You now multiply it. That's okay. In 10 years time, at least I will have so and so houses. So if it is like that for the houses of this world, I believe each and every one of us will be rushing to observe as much as we can, so that we have abundant house in this world. But that is that of the Rasul, which is the Allah, that is incomparable to what we may say we want of this world. So that is with regards the house. But that of Ibn Umar, he said that he observed the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doing this. And this one is a kind of mudawama. That means that the Rasul is full of that act. And we always mention that mudawama to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ala amalin la yadullu ala al-wujub. The fact that the Rasul continuously carrying out an act does not say that the act is what? Is obligatory. But it is what? It is emphatic. Emphatic in the sense that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always observe it, as Ibn Umar mentioned. But doing it daily or not doing it at all, is there any sin? No. Because in that hadith, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that a house will be built for that person in Al-Jannah. But it did not mention the opposite, that there will be punishment for the one that abandons it. So it is desirable for us to do what? To carry out the nawafil, and it is what? It is more emphatic in the sense that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always do it. So much so that anytime he miss it, he always pay them back. Most especially that of Dhuhr, he pays it back. So it means that we too, we should always be full of these tatawu'at, because the Rasul mentioned it and he always carried it out. Then we should know that it is not obligatory. When we say something is not obligatory, we should at the same time let the individual know what he will be missing. And in another report of Habiba, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Arba'u qabla dhur wa arba'u ba'da. That 4 rak'ah before dhur and 4 rak'ah after it. He said, Haramahullahu ala nar, aw min an-nar. He said that Allah will do what? Allah will prohibit hell for that individual. So as he mentioned it, we also look at the other way, that he did not attach any punishment to it. So we say, if you are observant of the 12, you do what? You have a house built for you in Al-Jannah. Then if you are now particular about 4 before Dhuhr, 4 after it, you do what? Allah will prohibit you, or prohibit hell from burning you, or prohibit you from hell. So that is what had been mentioned there. Then how do we now carry out the salawat? We have it that Aisha radiallahu anha mentioned that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not observe him being pertinent on a particular action than that. So the 2 before subhi and then 2 before dhuhr, meaning that out of all these emphatic sunnah, that of subhi is more emphatic, in the sense that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he always observe it, even while he's on a trip. All the other tatawu'at, he said, I meant the sunan ratiba. According to Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he said that there is no particular report emphasizing that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he's on a trip, he always observe the sunan ratiba. But that of subuhi, he does not leave it. Then apart from that of subuhi, he also observed the witru, the salatul qiyamul layl, and apart from this, one can carry out the salatul istikhara and some other nawafil. But that of the sunan ratiba, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he does not. We don't have report that he observed them except that of subhi. So it means that that of subhi is more emphatic than the others. So some of us, out of laziness or out of idleness, we watch. Some of us, we watch maybe one thing or one program or the other. In fact, in the days of phones now, smartphones, some people will browse till late in the night. Then he will struggle to observe Salatul Subuhi. That is, he will just be running to meet up the first rakah. So somebody that is waking up late, it means that he's not observant of his rakat al-fajr. That is, these 2 nafila, you observe immediately, it is fajr. So it is good like that. Because it is good for us to be observant of this nafila, because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what? Is always particular about it. Then, if you now fail to, as in if you miss it, is there any opportunity to pay it back? Like we mentioned the other time, all the sunan ratiba, we can do what? We can pay them back, just like we pay the salatul farida, we pay them back. The obligatory salah, just like we pay it back, we pay the sunan ratiba back as well. So it is not that we are giving us the liberty to do what? To browse till late in the night, and you now observe Salatul Subuhi, and they say we can pay it back. No. It is best to be observed before that Salatul Subuhi. It is best to be observed before Salatul Subuhi. Likewise, the other nawafil like that. So, if at all one fails to observe it before Al-Fajr, and when you wake up, you see that they are already on the first rakah, you can join the rakah, and after the salah, you do what? You pay your rakat al-fajr back. And this one, we have the hadith of Abu Bakr, that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after the salah, he saw him observing the salah. He said, Asubu Arba. That is, asking him the question that is Salatul Subuhi now 4 rakah? But somebody misinterpreted it or he understood it wrongly. He now said that they say Asuba is now 4, Asubu Arba, that Subu is now 4. But that one is Alful Istifam is there that Asubu Arba is Subu Salat now 4 rakah. In another report, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saw him observing the Salah. And after finishing the Salah, he now asked him the question. So meaning that if one fails to observe Rakat al-Fajr and any other Sunan or Ratiba, you do what? You pay it back after the Salah. So that of Subuhi, you pay it back immediately after Taslim. Or if you don't do it immediately, after your Adhkar, you carry it out. So that is why some ulama will say immediately after Taslim, if you are owing Rakat al-Fajr, it is not for you to stand up immediately, that there should be a faslu between the two. And that faslu should be either you talk or you carry out Adhkar. We have one report in Sunan Abi Dawood where the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that La yaslu salata bi salatin. You don't combine 2 salats except you do what? How an yakhruja aw yatakallam. You talk or you go out. That is, you create a separation. Not that, immediately Imam say Assalamu alaikum, you stand up again and you start observing your 2. Another person will call that Asuba Adimerini. You have turned Asuba to 4. He would not know that you had said a Taslim because of what? Because you two did not create that tafsil. You did not allow that the space. The space either you do Adhkar and like that. That is one. Another thing is, for that Rakat al-Fajr, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentioned that La Salata Ba'da al-Fajri wa La Salata Ba'da al-Asr. That there is no Salah after al-Fajr and there is no Salah after al-Asri. So this one, they said that immediately there is Fajr, you observe your 2, there is no other Salah again. Either, and in the report, he said the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always observe it at home. And we saw in this report, that of Ibn Umar, he mentioned the one that he said, Rak'atayn ba'da al-Maghrib fi baytihi. 2 rak'ah after Maghrib at his house. Wa rak'atayn ba'da al-Isha fi bayti. Then 2 rak'ah after Isha in his house. Then wa rak'atayn qabla subh. Why that of subh? He did not mention in his house. But we saw the report of Aisha radiallahu anha that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam always observe rak'ata qabla al-Fajr at what? At home. So, but if we are asked that where is best for our nawafil, we say it is our different houses. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that afdalu salat al-mar'i fi baytihi illa al-maktuba. That the best salat of an individual is the one he observes at his house. Except what? Illa al-maktuba. Except the obligatory salah. So obligatory salah is best observed in the mosque, while the voluntary salah is best observed at home. But whenever there is need to observe the nafila at the mosque, no problem in that. As in, there is no sin observing obligatory salah at home if there is necessity that call for it. Or observing non-obligatory in the mosque if there is necessity that calls for it. It's not for an individual to now say, they just bring another video, they are observing nawafil in the mosque. The one that the Rasul always observe most at home is that of what? Al-Fajr, that of Maghrib, and that of Isha. But if you now find yourself in a particular place outside your home, and you discover that after that salah, you still hang around that area till Isha, what are you going to do? You do what? You observe your nawafil in the mosque. That is, necessity has called for it at that point in time. It's not for you to now say, oh, I will need to go home, then I'll come back to that place to observe the Salah. Likewise, that of Isha too. Then likewise, that of the obligatory Salah. You know, they also say, illa al-maktuba, except the obligatory Salah. At times, there will be necessity that will force you to observe obligatory Salah at home. And that does not say one is not going to have the full reward. So, the nafila is best observed at home, while the obligatory Salah is best observed in the mosque. Then, out of all the nawafil, the one that the Rasul always, most of the time, always observe at home is the three we just mentioned earlier on. Then, now ask us that out of the report that 4 before Dhuhr and 4 after, or 2 before Dhuhr, 2 after, that which one is best? We say it depends on our ability. But if you observe 2 before Dhuhr, 2 after it, you are doing what? You are following the report of Umar that what he observed of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then, if you now had to eat that, oh, I will observe 4 before Dhuhr and 2 after it, that means that you couple with the remaining ones for that day, you want your nawafil to be 12, so that you will have a house built for you in Al-Jannah. Then if you now say, okay, I want to add to it 4 before Dhuhr, 4 after it, then that means you want hell. You want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prohibit you from hell. So, the more you do, the more the reward you are going to earn. But that one, the one that is emphatic is what? Is all the sunanu, and the minimum is what? Is the 10. And the maximum is what? Is the maximum is what? Is 14. That is 2 to the Dhuhr and 2 before it, 2 after it. Making what? Making 14. I hope you understand. Abu Abs. So, that is that. Then, if you now fail to observe the nafila, like we mentioned, you can pay it back. So, but that of Subhi, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there is no salah after al-fajr, except what? Except the 2 rakat al-fajr. So, if you observe 2 nafila of rakat al-fajr at home now, then on getting to the mosque, you discover that the salat had not been erected. Then at that point in time, you enter the mosque, you can perform tahiyatul masjid. And that one does not contradict the hadith that la salata ba'da al-fajr. I hope you understand. Meaning that if you observe 2 nafila at home, that stands for rakat al-fajr, and you get to the mosque, and you discover the salah had not been said, you can perform rakat al-fajr. Tahiyatul masjid. Then if you at all, you have not observed anything at home, you can enter the mosque with the intention that you want to perform rakat al-fajr. And at the same time, the intention of tahiyatul masjid. Even if you perform wudu at that point in time, you can even combine that one too. So you'll be having 3 intentions in one. You want to perform the nafila for wudu, the rakat al-fajr, at the same time, tahiyatul masjid. So you'll be having reward like that. But that of rakat al-fajr is best observed at home. You know, at times, when the time of salat changes, some mosques do not change theirs, when it will lead to you observing your rakat al-fajr at the mosque. So at that point in time, it's not for you to not, assuming they always observe their salah. Let's say they observe it 10 minutes to 6. And the time for salah to subuhi, so the time for fajr is always like 3 or 4 minutes before that time. That is 14 minutes before 6. So if you stay at home to observe your rakat al-fajr, before you get to the mosque, at times they must have finished observing the salah. So at that point in time, you can decide to take your nafila to the mosque and you observe it there in the mosque. So it is necessity that push you to doing that. Then he also mentioned that wala salata ba'da al-asr, and there is also no salah after al-asr. Then in one report, in that report, he said that hatta tastafir ash-shams, that until when there is about the sun at what is about to set, that according to the ulama, they said there is a specific period when salat is prohibited. So this one that they also said no salah, it doesn't mean that one cannot observe any salah at all. What this one is saying is that the specific salat in terms of obligatory salah, he said there is no salah at that point in time. Likewise, carrying out a particular nafila, no salat at that point in time, except that you are owing salat. For instance, now, where you observe your rakat al-fajr, you now remember that you have not observed your isha. You can do what? You can observe your isha at that point in time before salatul subhi is carried out. Likewise, after salatul asr, you remember that after your salatul dhuhr or before your salatul dhuhr, you did not observe the nafila of the salah. You can do what? You can observe it after al-asr. Or around that asri period, one remembers that he's owing a particular salah that he had not observed. You can do what? You can observe the salat at that point in time. But for the salatul subhi, after rakat al-fajr, you decide, you now say, I want to observe more nafila again. No. At that point in time, there is no additional nafila. You either do what? You lie down, sleeping, waiting for the salat, or you bring out your Quran and start reading, or you do what? Or you do azkar. So that is the point there for the hadith. Then another thing here that we need to take, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to that of Habiba, he said that fi yawmin wa layla, this nafila during the day and the night. So during the day, there are those ones that are peculiar to the salat of the days, and those ones that are peculiar to the salat observed during the night period. That is that of Maghrib and Isha. So the one we observe during Maghrib is what? The two after Maghrib and the two after Isha. So the two salah, the nafila we observe after Isha is quite different from the Qiyamul Layl. So after Salatul Isha, if you know that you may not even remember to observe your nafila, it's best to do what? To observe it immediately after the salah. At times, some people, on getting home, they will not even observe any other salat until the latter part of the night. So if one now wakes in the latter part of the night, then you want a house to be built for you in Al-Jannah, and you had already observed 10 nafila during the day and at Maghrib period, you still need to do what? To carry out the two, to make it what? 12. You observe 2 nafila, you stay your taslim. That will stand for the nafila of Isha. Then you now continue with your Qiyamul Layl. So that is for that of Isha. Then our people always call it Shafwa and Witr. There's no Shafwa and Witr. They are just calling it by the name that 2 nafila and 1 nafila. Making what? Shafwa and that is, they are saying even and odd. That's the simple statement. Then when they say you have not observed your Shafwa and Witr, what they are saying is that you have not observed your 2 and 1. That is even and odd, referring to the 2 and 1. So after that Salat al-Isha, you can decide to delay your even to the latter part of the night. Likewise that of your Witr. But al-Witru itself is not part of the Sunanu Ratiba. I hope we understand. So Sunan Ratiba is among the what? The nafila of what? Is among the nafila of mutlaq or muqayyad? Muqayyad. So Sunan Ratiba is among the nafila of taqyid. Why the witru is what? Witru, is it muqayyad or mutlaq? Is what? It is muqayyad, and it is tied to a particular time. Only that it is not emphatic. I hope we understand. So that is the hadith there. Then we now have the report of Tirmidhi radiyallahu anhu. He said in that report, the one that Habiba radiyallahu anha mentioned, he now spread it out that arba'an qabla dhuhr, 4 before dhuhr, wa rak'atayn ba'daha, and 4 after it, wa rak'atayn ba'da al-maghrib, 4 after maghrib, wa rak'atayn ba'da al-isha, and 4 after isha, wa rak'atayn qabla salat al-fajr, and 2 before salat al-subhi. So that is for that of Habiba. Then I said, another report said that whoever that is observed 4 before dhuhr and after it, we have himself prohibited from hell. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have a house built for us in Al-Jannah and to prohibit us from hell. Like we always mention, the army is not sufficient except to do what? To carry out the action. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for each and every one of us. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ahlihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. So we have a question.